book in a bev.
Hello everyone and welcome back to another episode of A Book and a Bev. This week you have Briony, Ellie, Georgia. This Claire is unfortunately still showing us all up and showing how educated and fantastic she is, and we miss her. We really miss her. She's the one that looks at us and goes, what the fuck?
She's the one that keeps us in check. Last episode we fucking ran rampant.
This week we are covering Kingdom of the Wicked by Kerri I want to say Calco. Do we think Maniscalo?
Maniscalo. I don't know.
I want to say Calco. I want to say
Maniscalo.
Maniscalo.
Which I'm not going to try and do again.
It's a story about a young witch trying to solve the murder of someone she loves with the help of one of the 7 princes of hell. Get hungry for the tension along with the food in this book, because this book made me very, very hungry. What are we drinking, everyone?
I was initially thinking Prosecco because that is mentioned in the book, but I had a last minute change of heart and now I'm drinking ciders, Recorderlig to be precise. But there's mentions of like refreshing drinks throughout the book, so like I'm kind of on trend, kind of.
I am drinking this. It is a sparkling something, and I put some juice in it, and so now it's just alcoholic juice. And just so you're all aware, when I opened the sparkling bottle of whatever the hell it is, it's not champagne, but it's something. Just picture
it's
champagne.
Like it's a Pinot, hun.
It's a Pinot. That's it. Yeah,
You're
I was
like,
saying
it's
Pinot.
A
Pinot. It's a Pinot. I was opening it and I was telling the girls about my day. I was having a great time. I was saying I'm getting drunk as all hell tonight. And I opened the little the thing before the cork, and then I put it down, and then it just went poof. The cork came out and hit me right between the eyes, and I got it on video. But I didn't actually save the video, but I got the screenshot of my face as the cork hit my face. So look, if you want it bad enough, I can post that somewhere.
Oh my god!
I
was not driving home from work when I was watching that, and I was just like nearly wet myself.
It just was unexpected.
So not only is Georgia getting drunk tonight, she's probably also concussed.
Yeah, so sorry in advance.
You were so lucky that hit like your head and not your eye. People have lost their eyes to that shit.
Well, I tried to recreate Victoria's sangria-esque limoncello concoction, but I currently have the spicy cough. So I'm in isolation. So what we had was Claire brought me a bottle of Prosecco, and then I found some red wine and I have mixed it together. It's not great, but we're pushing through.
It's extra strong.
Look, it's hurting the back of my throat.
And I don't drink red wine anyways.
Unfortunate.
But I wanted to try.
I'll just drink red wine until I die.
All right. General vibes for the book. This was my second series by Kerri that I've read, the first being the Stalking Jack the Ripper series, which is really good, but it's her sixth book. And so I think she was it's different from what she's done before. It was really good. I was enjoying it. One of the main things I love about this book is Kerri is so cinematic. The scenery she describes, the clothing, the food, even the way people look, she is just like a master world builder in my opinion. So I always love, even when some of her characters might be annoying or some of the plots might be, I'm like, there's some moments. At least it's pretty. I also love a slow burn, a tension churning, stare at me like you hate me but you love me filled book, and this definitely has it. I love the death, I love the demons, I love the angst, and I also love the who touched you trope, which is right alongside the your anger makes me horny trope. They're my faves, and this book brought that for me, so I'm happy.
Do love those tropes, do love
Look, I loved a lot of aspects of this book. I mean, the plot especially, a murder mystery, but with dark witchy vibes because, Charmed is my thing. With a demon prince who's like irresistibly attractive, also Henry Cavill. Say less. I'm in. But for some reason, I just found myself being like overly critical when I was reading it. And normally when I'm reading, I can really like get into the book and I am the main character. And I think I just got lost a lot. So when I was getting into it, I suddenly was like, wait, where are we now? What are we experiencing? Like, who are we talking to? Where am I going? And I had to backtrack quite a bit to try and like reread so I could digest all of the information that was coming my way. Maybe it's because I read it really quickly, and if I took my time, it would have made a bit more sense. But I was just left really unsatisfied with the ending. So essentially, correct me if I'm wrong, she chose to be with pride to save the human realm and plans to take down all of the kingdoms of hell from the inside, kind of like Feyre in book 2. No, Feyre in book.
Well, that's how book 2 ends, so you're fine.
But what about her betrothal to Wrath? Wasn't that a thing when they meant to be getting, like, she accidentally like bonded them for life, and then he was like, and she was like, oh yeah, I don't want to do that anymore. But I'm like, but surely there needs to be some form of like magic or salt throwing or something to like break that bond. And now she's just with pride. And I was like, what?
I get
where you're coming from completely. Yeah.
I see. Oh dear. I don't know if it's probably because maybe me and Briony have already read the book once. I understand where you would get confused, because there is a lot of like world building aspects, especially at the beginning of the book, like there is with a lot of books. Like a lot of these fantasy books, some of these books that you like the first few chapters, you're like, what the fuck is going on? What the fuck indeed? I really enjoyed this book for many reasons, but I also didn't really enjoy the book for many reasons. I said in like the Q&A episode, I was like, I'm really excited to read this book. I was very critical of this book the first time I read it. And I came in this book and I was like, absolutely fucking not. What is going on? You know, as Ellie said, I love the theory behind this book, but it's a lot of information and there's a lot of running around. There's a lot of background information, and I love that and I hate it at the same time. And I also wanted to note that I fucking love the Princess of Hell. Like, well, the singular, the one that we love, Wrath. We love it. I just did not like Emilia. And
she's like hesitating to touch this man, and I'm like, why are you waiting?
Why? At the beginning, she seemed more like the innocent one, and then now she's like bossing around Princess of Hell, and she like just doesn't die. Like if I went up to like a god or like a Prince of Hell and was like, fuck you, they'd be like, dead. That's it. It just felt a bit off, you know?
And I get that.
I did love like the lust/love story of the book though. Like I loved, as Briony said, those tropes. I love a slow burn. I love wanting them to just fuck already. But I don't know, it just felt off because I just really wasn't vibing with Emilia this time. And the first time I was thinking that I was being overly critical, but the second time I'm reading it, I'm just like, I'm screaming at her the entire time. She annoys the fuck out of me. I also really like her in some moments, but majority of the time I'm just like, I fucking hate you. Pull your head out of your own asshole, please.
But I guess that's when Wrath keeps making her those promises, like they're like, I'll make you a deal, like I'll winnow you away, or I'll protect you for 6 months, and she's like, no. And I'm like, oh my god, why?
Petty fucking bitch. All right.
As much as I love this series. Obviously, I put it in the fishbowl. Emilia is a problematic main character. She doesn't make it easy for you to like her.
And I think like maybe that's the whole point. Like it's supposed to keep you on your toes. Do you like her? Do you not like her? Do you like Wrath? Do you not like Wrath? Like, is he a bad guy? Is he a good guy? Is she a bad guy? Is she a good guy?
A lot of this book, a lot of the areas where I feel like maybe it falls short or there's a gap or things like that, I feel like unfortunately it might be an instance where it's setting up for a future book, and it's one of those holes, those questions that gets answered later, but I don't know that it was necessarily executed in the best way.
Yeah, a lot of the time when I was reading it, I was thinking this is very reminiscent of like early, well, even ACOTAR wasn't this.
Yeah, it's missing that little bit of glue almost.
Yes, she's just not giving anything to the slow burn, and I'm like, babe, just give me
something.
Just give more. Just literally, like, linger a little bit longer. Let those eyes linger a little bit longer.
Yeah, just like a hand.
Yeah. Hold your breath or something.
In Kerri's defense, so her previous series, Stalking Jack the Ripper, is literally about stalking Jack the Ripper. And it's in that era where it was like, you know, like a hand touch without a glove was like risque. So she's come from building a very detailed and elaborate world in that setting, and then this is her next thing after that. So I do feel like maybe she was shaking the cobwebs off. Maybe. Let's jump right in.
Let's go.
So we kick off with the prologue, which is basically the summary of kids, do what you're told and don't start the apocalypse.
Yeah, cool.
I do like there's this opening quote, and it's the, if I cannot bend the will of heaven, I shall move hell. And I love that quote. I was like, that's the aesthetics, that's the vibe I want. Fuck shit up. I'm into it.
Fuck shit up indeed.
Also, just, I don't know if we've shouted this out before in ACOTW. I'm really a big fan of a nice map at the beginning of books. I like a good map. It's got a good fucking map. Granted, it's the 7 circles of hell and we're not in hell in this book, but it's a nice fucking map.
It was confusing because I didn't know where we were meant to be.
Yeah, I feel like it's an interesting choice for the first book, but I'm still like, you know what? I'll take it. I like a nice, pretty picture. So that's my little TED talk. Thank you for listening.
Oh my God, I didn't realise there was a House of Sloth. That would so be mine.
I also find it interesting that the House of Sloth is a tower, meaning that the lazy people have to walk up more.
Yeah, no, that's not my vibe.
I definitely would be the Flaming Tombs. That's where I would be. That's where you'd find me.
Oh, fuck. Basically, in this prologue, it is little 8-year-old Emilia and Victoria, and they're doing some chanting. There's a storm, and that we've got this quote that's kind of saying the scene, which is, the devil demanded retribution, a blood sacrifice for power stolen. It wasn't the first time he'd be cursed by witches, nor would it be the last. It's like, oh, okay, so we've got some stakes early on. Okay, I'm intrigued. We meet, as I said, main character Emilia, her twin sister Victoria, who I keep wanting to say Victoria, but
I know.
Vit.
Apparently, the first edition of this book, her name was Victoria, with the nickname Vicky, but the author copped so much backlash because it wasn't historically accurate.
I'm like, Vicky?
Me and you were both like, as soon as she said that, me at the same time we were like,
yeah. Apparently, she had to change it because it wasn't like, you're writing about 19th century Italy.
And then you're like, Vicky!
Hey, Vicky! Oh, Vicky, you're so
also,
fat.
But look, I still don't read it, so again.
Vampire Diaries, season 1. Can't do it. We also meet Nonna, who is almost like our surreal tea-sipping person that never gives the tea when she should.
She was annoying.
Nonna is very much giving me vibes like, do not fuck with anything or the world would end. And obviously 2 8-year-olds do not listen to this.
No, they do not. But basically, Nonna ends up, they're like cooking, and that's a giant thing in this book, as Briony said earlier. Like the food in this book, they're like, their family owns a restaurant. It's this whole thing. The food descriptions are beautiful.
Seriously.
And while they're cooking this food, they say, well, like, we'll cook for you, Nonna, like, if you tell us about, you know, like the wicked. And what Nonna starts saying is the devil was on the prowl, or one of his wicked brothers were. And that's when you find out straight from the get-go, we're likely talking about some sexy ass demons from fucking hell. And I am like, booyah! Because that's exactly what I'm here for. That was a big wind up. I was like, boom.
I love the amount of times that we're really physical and there's people on Spotify being like,
what are they doing? Georgia's just like fucking crumping. But yeah, so she's explaining like the wicked, which, yeah, obviously the devils are on the prowl, you know. And Nonna also says, whatever you do, you must never speak to the wicked. If you see them, hide. Once you've caught a demon prince's attention, they will stop at nothing to claim you. Guard your hearts. If given the chance, they will rip it from your chest and guzzle your blood as it steams in the night. And I'm like, sounds hot.
This is making a little bit more sense now, because I was like, why the fuck do they keep asking her to join their house? Like, it's not a sports carnival. You're not aligning yourself with red, white, yellow, green, whatever the fuck they are.
What the 7 devil, like Princes of Hell, need is a sorting hat. That would just solve the whole problem. Chuck that bad boy on. don't even have to make the decision. It's done.
Exactly.
Take notes, Kerri. Sorting hat.
But yes, now it makes sense. If it said from the very first chapter that once you've caught their attention, they'll stop at nothing to claim you. I mustn't have read that bit. My apologies, Kerri. I was just confused. It wasn't you.
There's a lot that even so this is my second or third read through of this book. There's still a lot that I'm even now that I've read the second book, I'm like, some of it makes more sense. That's why I think there's a lot of world building, a lot of setting up in this book.
So Vittoria and Emilia, they have these little amulets, necklaces. What are they called in Italian?
Are we calling them cornicello?
Cornicello. Kind of sounds like an ice cream.
It does. It sounds like a cornetto. Every time I saw the word, because you know how we were saying back in Aka War, I think it was, or Akamath, I think, and I was saying how it was banana and what's it called, dragon and banana or something.
Yeah,
I was saying cornettos. So.
Well, that's the thing. I'm picturing a cornetto as well, because a devil horn would be the shape of a little.
So I'm imagining the devil horns, curvy, goatish, and I'm imagining it kind of looking like a seashell. That was where I was going.
Pretty. I was literally just picturing an ice cream on their neck.
As was I.
So they connect their cornettos. And a light flashes. They're shocked. They quickly pull apart, and Emilia now has this ability to see people's auras, and she doesn't tell anyone. And then she wonders if her sister's picked up some weird special skill, but she doesn't tell her either, and they never do it again because they were like, oh, we were told not to fuck with that, and obviously shit happened when we did, so we're not going to do that again. And then my quote here was, it was the first of many secrets the twins would keep from each other and prove deadly for one.
Already you're like, oh no,
yeah,
that's a problem.
Yes, it is. We get into chapter 1 and we flash forward 10 years. And basically we've got two 18-year-old witches and they're working in the family restaurant, cooking up some tasty meals. We love that.
So
Nonna is just freaking the fuck out. She's just muttering all types of fucking nonsense. Because basically Vittoria, she was out all night and basically now she's late. We're basically hearing it all from Emilia's perspective. Emilia is saying that the fact that the moon was not only full, but was a putrid shade of yellow, had Nonna muttering the kind of warnings that normally made my father bolt the doors. And it's we know something's going on. Nonna's gone cray-cray. Victoria's missing. What is happening here? The moon is yellow. Or when? So everyone's freaking the fuck out.
Look, if the moon went yellow, I would also be freaking the fuck out. I'd be like, that's different. That's unusual.
That is weird. That's a bit strange. Also, just don't look up enough. I am constantly just... I am not
Let's be honest, I'm not going outside enough to see what the moon's doing.
I don't leave the fucking house unless I go to work. That's it.
Look, with the state of the world at the moment, if the moon started turning yellow, I'd just be like, well... It was bound to
tracks. Bound to happen.
So as Nonna is going cray-cray, basically Vittoria's and Emilia's mother is like, we have more pressing matters than Vittoria being out, all right? The garlic is burning. And crazy Nonna's just like, so will their souls in hell if we don't save them. I'm like, wow, are you okay?
Pump the hate brakes.
Yeah, literally.
I'm literally living for the foodie moments in this entire book, so brace yourselves because your girl is on a trip. But Nonna is so rolled up that she's wasting food, and Emilia is commenting on being like, oh, we could have used that stock. And I'm like, okay, love your versatility, love the recycling, we use everything. But then she pours some chilled wine with orange slices and sugared peels in a glass of sweetener and gives it to Nonna to try and calm her down, which honestly, give me alcohol and that will probably calm me down, or I'll kick off. It's one or the other.
Yeah, no, I'm not calming down.
But then we have this moment where Nonna thinks that Emilia isn't taking the threat of the wicked seriously. And we've got this quote where it's, one day I hope you'll take the signs from the goddesses seriously, Bambina. And it's like, well, maybe she would take them seriously if you told her a fucking thing, which you don't. You don't tell her anything until it's too fucking late.
Yeah.
For Emilia, her magic is like cooking. It's the perfect combination of magic and music. It's her shit. We get the vibe that Emilia is a bit more comfortable in her role working in the family restaurant. She's a bit more of a goody-goody, a bit more innocent, whereas Vittoria's out on the town doing who knows fucking what.
Yes. And then we find out that the witches believe that the wicked, so aka the demon princes, which are also known as, how do we pronounce this word?
Malvagi?
Malvagi? Malvagi?
The Hell Princes will one day return, but Emilia doesn't believe it. So then we also find out that some other witches have also been found murdered. So this is like our first, like, oh, okay, so maybe Nonna's not that crazy. She's actually onto something here. And Emilia says, I couldn't imagine a murder there, which was ridiculous since death didn't discriminate between paradise and hell. And I was like, how right you are, madame.
Right.
Like,
you're not wrong. You're not wrong.
Shit has been done by those in lovely places.
We follow that up and we find out that Emilia is a bloody volunteer and she likes giving food to the church. And we meet Antonio, who is her childhood friend turned priest. He's not Father Bell. And he's a possible witch hunter who thinks Emilia is like amazing, has a little bit of a crust, but he thinks that Jesus is hotter. So he said no. And there's obviously this tension, but like Emilia's never confirmed she's a witch. So she's just kind of like hiding and they're just doing this little like dance around each other.
Look, I was just Father Bell. Every time I saw him, I was like, Father Bell, are you calling to me, sir? It's just crazy. It was all everywhere. So as soon as I saw like, oh, there's a father, and oh, she thinks he's hot, and oh, he might like her, I'm like, Father Bell, they're gonna fuck.
I've been looking for red flags with him. I was just like, where's your kink, sir? So while she's helping Antonio, her internal monologue gives us a little bit of insight into the world building and like the social setup. So we have, now unbeknownst to him, we were enemies. He belonged to the church and I was a witch and not just a human stranger using...
I want to say stranger. I feel like it's a stranger.
Stranger?
Stranger?
Like stretchy. So we got Cornetto, we got Stretchy.
Okay, not just a human Stretchy, using folk magic against the evil eye and praying to Catholic saints. My family was something other, something not entirely human. Our power was feared, not respected.
Which, I mean, obviously, babe, you had to be. You're the main character.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It comes with the territory. What are you...
True.
So then, my favourite quote. Man had a funny way of blaming the devil for things he didn't like. It was strange that we were called evil when humans were the ones that enjoyed watching us burn.
Ooh, that is a good fucking quote.
Speaking of, someone please give us a book recommendation for like the Salem witch trials. Something along that. I really want to, I like a witchy moment.
Get him in the bowl. So Antonio, they're having this conversation and Antonio's like, gosh, you're such a good woman reading the Bible. And Emilia's like, actually, no, sir, I read smut, but you don't need to know that. Babe, we got you. We also read smut and everyone knows that, but that's fine. We'll keep you a secret. You'll be part of this. And basically, when they're in the church, she's cooking up a feast. Victoria comes in and she's dressed as a fucking witch hunter. And Emilia's like, oh fuck, she spills her balsamic, everything's gone everywhere.
Not the balsamic.
Very upset. Antonia's like, oh, I'll just leave you guys. I'm just gonna go, you know. And Victoria's like, oh, Emilia, I hope to see you when I return, preferably naked and in my bed, screaming the Lord's name. I fucking loved that. It was so good.
It almost made me want to like Victoria. My next foodie moment is this sangria limoncello concoction that Victoria makes. One day we will make it, but it sounded fucking delightful.
It did, didn't it?
They're lying in bed, they're gas bagging, they're debriefing, and Emilia asks Victoria where she was, and Victoria just comes out with this, I was summoning the devil. An ancient book whispered its secrets to me, and I've decided to take him as my husband. I'd invite you to the wedding, but I'm pretty sure the ceremony takes place in hell. And Emilia's just like, lol, good joke. And I'm like, that's very specific.
That's very specific for a joke. That's very unusual.
And I don't know if it's because I've been reading too many of these books, but immediately my brain was just like, Victoria's going to be one of those people that tells you the truth, but it's so outlandish that you think it's a lie. But she's not actually lying to you. We have these moments where Victoria's out, they're trying to find her, like, oh, she'll be back soon. We're busy. Gosh, where is she? And they're cooking snails, but somehow they make snails sound yummy.
Yeah, I also thought this too. I was like, oh, actually, I wouldn't mind actually eating that.
But apparently, like, these cooking snails are enough to lure in all these customers. And I'm like, how? I don't get it, but okay. Trust the process, I guess.
So then Emilia delivers more food to the monastery. She goes to find Antonio. And there she makes a very grim discovery. So if you haven't already guessed for the next day now, obviously I'm as confused as you all are. She gets like this weird feeling. So basically the monastery has like catacombs throughout it. And instead of like it being a mausoleum style thing where people are like put into the walls, they're like upright and they've been embalmed and they're just like mummies like lining the walls. Slightly terrifying. So she's walking through these walls and then she gets this like gut feeling drawing her to a room that she's never been into before. It's nighttime, she's by herself, but she's like, no, I can't ignore this feeling. I've got to go check it out. And in there she discovers a man licking blood off of his fingers of his sister's corpse.
That's unfortunate.
Yes. And she's thinking at the time, like she's rehashing a memory that she's had of her sister who had a fascination with the monastery and like all the dead people in there, and like she wanted to like pursue something with that potentially in her future. And it's like, oh, okay, is this like foreshadowing? Like, am I reading too much into this? Likely, yeah.
Oh my God, does that mean that I'm going to die soon? Or does that also mean that I'm going to find a beautiful, sexy hell prince and he's going to guzzle my blood?
For those that are audio only, we're all shrugging. My list of things that turn me on but shouldn't, she's looking at this man and she can see his aura and it's like black and gold and it's this man that's licking this blood, and when they kind of look at each other, there's this tension in the room. It's like something shifts, and the quote is, the shadows seemed to bow in acquiescence to them. And I was like, okay, I vibe it.
I also feel hot because of that.
Kitty's on high alert. You got me. Continue. Yes. She tries to scare him off. She's like, oh, the monks will be here right in a second. And he calls her a liar for the first time and then proceeds to jump out the window. It's great. I love her. I love meet cutes. Basically, at first we have this heartbreaking moment where Emilia thinks that Vittoria is just pranking her. So she's talking to her corpse and being like, wake up. And you're like, oh no, not this.
That's a bit awkward for you, love.
And then it's at that moment when she's being like, come on, like, stop pranking, that she realises that Vittoria's heart has been torn out, which after Nonna's previous warnings, we were like, oh no.
Nonna's not crazy.
It was a very vivid description.
It was.
The heart.
The jagged, like, yeah.
So Emilia, on the spot, makes a blood oath to avenge her twin's murder and says, I swear on my life I will make whoever did this pay, Vittoria. I looked at her one last time, then ran like the devil was coming from my cursed soul next. That's the type of like writing I don't enjoy. It's like, oh, you could have just said like, I ran like crazy, like I ran like hell.
And like the day before, she was not cursed. Her soul was not cursed.
She was like, I'm a witch, but I don't really believe in all this stuff. And now it's like,
pitchforks out, I am cursed.
Yeah, she was Glenda the Good Witch, and now she's like the evil one under the house.
Yeah. But like, since I win, what happened? Oh, what happened is your sister died, but like, breathe, bro.
And then we have this fucking fever dream moment where while Amelia's running home, she starts hearing these voices speaking to her, which is like, memories like hearts can be stolen. And she's like, what the fuck? And then keeps running. And then there's, he wishes to remember, but only forgets. He's coming here soon. Again,
what the fuck? Do we ever even find out who he is?
I have theories, but also this book leaves a lot open-ended, so I'm quite tempted to almost play into that. Because, I mean, there's a couple moments where she hears things that, frankly, are not relevant to this book.
Well, because I'm thinking the whole book, I'm going, who the fuck is he and when is he showing up?
Yep. Which he? There's a lot of he's.
There are a
lot of options, and you're left to think who it could be.
Another one of my favourite quotes. A woman with a little power was terrifying for some. So now Amelia's all like, I have come into my power. Everyone's going to be afraid of me. Watch how the men run. And it's kind of like, but like 2 days ago, you were chopping onions.
Yeah, she begins she goes into her little cocoon trying to come out as like a vengeful butterfly. And I want to believe and trust the process, but sometimes it feels a bit thin.
Like she jumped from 0 to 100 hellfire.
Yeah.
And now she's fuck it.
I guess seeing your twin who looks like you with their heart ripped out and someone licking their blood off their hands, that might do that. But also,
can't speak from personal experience, but it might.
basically, just to break up the monotony of grief while she's being depressing as fuck because her sister's dead, Nonna's like, but desserts will make you feel better, and gives her this sweet intricotta. And I was like, absolutely, desserts will make you feel better. That's my comfort. Amelia is mourning and her grief is basically transforming her. So even though it seems quick, we're on the roller coaster now and it's happening. Her grief is turning into rage, or there's another word that's like rage. I wonder what that word is. We'll come back. And we've got this quote where it's, I imagined myself burning, not like our ancestors at the stake. An ember of anger was slowly igniting within me, reducing the person I used to be to ash. At times, my simmering rage was the only indication I was still alive.
I get that.
You guys see me yell at Aiden. That ember within me.
And I'm not going to lie, one of my favourite things in a character is when they're angry. Like, if it's a vengeful woman coming for, like, justice, I'm like, sign me up. That is what I want. So,
an assassin, I'm all here for it. All here.
Kill some people, make it good.
Yeah, rip their hearts out, guzzle their blood. I'm here for it.
Yep, sign me up.
I don't think I'll ever get over the guzzle your blood thing. I'm then going to use it in everything from now on. Whenever I'm turned on, I'm like, guzzle my blood.
Oh dear. So the police end up linking Vittoria's murders to the others, surprisingly, wow. But they don't really get anywhere. And they
unsurprising.
To push further. And another one of my favourite quotes. Young woman died, but life resumed. Such was the way of the world, at least according to men.
Damn straight.
So Emilia finds Vittoria's diary, but it's been spelled shut. And her quote here is, which meant she'd known exactly how dangerous her secrets had been. Scandalous.
Scandalous.
Yes.
Look at us, we said scandalous at the same time.
What secrets were you keeping, Victoria?
I know. So Emilia immediately tries to open the diary, as you would.
Yep, classic.
She whispers this unveiling spell. And as she's doing that, she's like tossing salt over her shoulder. And I'm sorry, where the hell did she just get this salt from? Did she just have like a little sachet of it in her pocket that she could just be like, okay, just for emergency?
The McDonald's sachet? She's just like...
Like, where is she just like manifesting salt out of?
I think later on in the book she has like a pouch, you know.
Yeah, in her defense, I think they establish it later in the book, but she ends up having, there's a couple skirts where she's got these pockets and these pouches, and she carries this chalk, and I'm guessing
it's chalk, that's right, yeah.
salt in there, and so
salt sachets from.
I'm guessing she has like a chef bum bag.
Yeah,
basically, she's
bum bag full of salt.
Adidas branding, just with some like 7 seasoning blend.
But yeah, moral of the story, she can't get into it even with a little salt trick. So
in terms of like the lay of the land, we understand there are other witches, but they're not meant to talk to each other because the witch hunters will know if they talk to each other that there are witches. Somehow that's the thing. But Emilia has witchy friends, as you would. So she talks to another witch and finds out that despite what Nonna has taught her whole fucking life, the other witches believe that demons are easy to summon and are not bound to hell, whereas Amelia's been taught, no, they're locked in there and they can't get out. And if they get out, it's the end of the world. And it's like, actually, no, they can just like yeet. They're actually quite easy to summon. And of course, Emilia goes, this is fantastic to know. I mean, it's problematic because it's turning my life upside down, but it gives me ideas. We also get this quote, which makes me want to like pull my bra off and burn it, which is, in the end, the monster we feared didn't come from hell. He came from privilege. And yes, this is exactly how I feel in the world. Emilia, though, thinks this, and it leads her to believe that the man that was licking the blood off his hands is a privileged rich man. Amelia is, again, still cocooning into our little vengeful butterfly, so she's feeling all this anger turning into something, which, again, I wonder what that feeling is. Intriguing. And they've got this quote where it's, a twig was just a broken bit of wood until it had been sharpened into a spear. Grief carved me in half and fury honed the pieces into a weapon. Now it was time to unleash it. So our little butterfly is cocooning very quickly into her vengeful self. And I both love it. And I'm also like, it's a lot.
I didn't hate her that much at this point. I still was annoyed in general. I didn't really think, I was like, this is happening really fast, but I also didn't hate her yet. I was like, okay, all right, vengeful, do it. That's cool. You do you, boo. Yeah. Basically, Emilia decides to summon a demon.
Classic stitch up.
She's like, all right, I've got this. She's got this animal blood, and she's got all these bits and pieces and these bones and whatever, all the witchy jujus. And
salt sachet.
She's got her salt sachet.
A KFC salt sachet.
Yeah, she's got them ready. And then a bat comes along and knocks over her jar of blood. And she's like, damn. And I'm like, this is a sign that you shouldn't be doing this. She's
Nature is literally like, stop.
No.
Yeah. The bat is like, get fucked out of my house doing this shit. And she's like, you know what? That's not a sign. I'm going to just cut my forearm. I'm not going to cut my palm like they do in every other book because I've got to cook later. So I'm just going to cut my forearm open and just let that bleed on there. Yep. Wasn't a sign from God. I'm just going to let it go. A demon appears, right? And he's described a tall, dark-haired man. His muscular back was to me, and he wore only low-slung black pants. Golden skin glistened in the candlelight, the smooth perfection broken only by an assortment of shimmering ink. His chest and torso were chiseled in a way that indicated he was well acquainted with weapons. Metallic gold tattoo that started on the top of his right hand and coiled up and around his arm and shoulder. A fearsome snake.
I was like, I'm intrigued.
Yes, ma'am. I'll take 6, thanks. Of course. Emilia looks at him and she's like, the fuck? You might be hot, but shit, I think I know you. And oh shit, it is the privileged blood licker himself. And Emilia's like, absolutely fucking not, I'm gonna beat you fuck up.
And just like,
it's on, let's go.
She does the whole, I'm going to scream, I'm going to kill you, and then run at you, and then wonder why the sneak attack doesn't work.
Yeah.
Which there's our little, like, naive, innocent girl that I knew back in chapter 1. There she is.
There she is.
And look, in all honesty, that would just be me. In any form of, like, mode of battle, I would just be like...
Like, you're literally brandishing the bottle opener. Adding to my problematic list of things that turn me on is my hatred and wrath were so strong I almost got drunk on the intensity of it. I glanced up in time to see him close his eyes like he was enjoying those dark feelings too. Well, colour me damnation, I'm in. I was so invested.
Yes. We meet this demon. He's beautiful, beautiful, hot, beautiful demon. And then we find out Emilia's like, oh shit, my arm's a bit tingly. What's going on? It's not herpes. It's a tattoo. It's a tattoo. And they both get matching tattoos. And that's very cute already. It's a bit early on. But cute, sure. I'll take it. They're pretty apparently, so I'll do it. I think it's like flowers and stuff. And the snakes, whatever.
Yeah, they've got their like pale violet lavender coloured. It's like crescent moon, moony, meaty moment.
At this point in time, no fucking relevance to anything that's happened yet.
Yeah, just matching tattoos.
Yeah. We're like, cool.
I love tattoos, sign me up. The demon is immediately like, what spell did you use to summon me? And she's like, bitch, I'm not telling you shit. And he's like threatening her. And he's like, one day I'm going to be free of this bond. Think very carefully about that. And our little bitch goes, one day I'm going to find a way to kill you. Think very carefully about that. And I'm like, love your confidence, babe. Hope it's not misplaced.
Yeah, I was like, look, all right. If it's this lesser demon that you were supposed to summon.
But then this motherfucker introduces himself. And he is none other than Wrath. Prince Wrath, General of War, and one of the feared 7 princes of hell. And he's like, one day you'll call me Death, for now Wrath will do.
I loved that. Oh, you can call you.
I wonder
And
what
he-
his real name is, because it did say that he has a real name, you just never know it.
Yes.
Did we find that out in book 2?
Yes.
Is it like Leonard or something like that?
Fuck, I wish. Kerri, take notes. Leonard.
They also, again, use this whole moment where they do death with the capital D, which instantly, that's a winner for me. As soon as death is its own entity, I'm like, sign me up. I'm in.
So, and all I'm thinking is, oh fuck, he's hot. And he didn't kill Victoria. Apparently, she was already dead when he arrived. And he basically is just like, all right, I'm going to offer you a blood trade. I'm going to help you, because he's trying to find these killers too. He's like, I'm trying to find them. And she's like, wait, do I have to kiss you? He's like, no, hun, you'd have to be the last person in all the realms combined for me to want you. And I'm like, haha, now that you've said that. And just like their banter back and forth throughout this, when he's in that protective circle, because she's like summoned him in, not only the protective spell, but also the containment spell. So there's 2 in there. She's done her due diligence. Well, she thinks she has. I just wanted him to just, as soon as I heard that description of him, I was like, yep.
Put your tongue down his throat.
Yeah, absolutely.
Wrath offers her this blood trade to, find her sister, yada, yada, yada. And it also means that she will be protected by him for 6 months? It's not even time. And she's like, no, sorry, I refuse. Why?
This is where.
I realise he's a hell prince. I get that. Probably not a person you want to be making a trade with, but he's hot. We've just found out he didn't kill your sister. He's willing to help you find who did kill your sister, and he's wearing low-slung pants.
What are you meant to do with that? And I mean, in Emilia's defense, obviously, you could also be distracted by the fact that he's wearing low-slung pants and is a good-looking guy. And you don't know if he's telling the truth, because you might believe that demons lie. So in that way, I kind of get it. But also, Emilia, someone is out there fucking up witches and ripping their hearts out. Currently, your best defense against that is salt.
Yeah. Look, I'd be taking his help, and if he's bound to protect me for 6 months, I'd be making him bind himself in more ways than one.
Damn straight.
Makes sense.
Bind himself to my vagina anyway.
So then Emilia leaves Wrath in the little cave and fucks off for a bit to try and act like an independent woman. And she's cooking some mushrooms with shallots and garlic, and that made me hungry again. So that was just my little moment. And she's considering the deal with Wrath, but she's unsure. And Nonna is just giving her this side eye. She's like, I can tell that you did something. What the fuck did you do? She's basically like, look, you need to stop investigating Victoria's murder. You need to grieve and move on. Let go of your vengeance, or it will curse us all. And I was like, I don't know why, but my foreshadow sense was tingling there. And I went, Emilia basically then also goes and speaks to her witch friend again about Victoria's diary.
That's basically it.
The whole Claudia plot, you could have just pulled that out.
Her family looks at dark magic.
Yeah,
her family doesn't really deal with the dark magic side of things.
But we're also finding out that Nonna's a fucking she really nitpicks only what she wants to focus on and doesn't give the whole story unless she's absolutely forced to. And even then, she's staring the apocalypse in the face and she's like, not everything.
I'm just going to give you just enough to taint your thirst. And
then I'm going to fuck off.
I have mushrooms to stir. Sorry.
Emilia ends up coming back to see Wrath, and she's got him a shirt this time. And he's like, no, that I'm not wearing that. And I was also like, no. He does not need to put on a shirt, darling. He's fine, all right?
I absolutely love that this man was like, that is not my aesthetic, and I'm not touching that ratchet quality. I only love custom-made Versace.
And we basically get a little bit of information about Wrath. So basically he's assisting Pride with obtaining a witch bride to free himself of a curse. Emilia's like, that's it. Pride's the devil. Makes sense. Emilia leaves Wrath and she encounters someone else. Dun dun dun. His hair was black silk and his eyes were an animal-like green, well-trimmed facial hair. His suit was solid black, but his shirt and vest were several shades of swirling green and shot through with silver threads. He also had a dagger strapped to his side, but this one had a giant green gemstone lodged into its hilt. As well, we forgot to mention that Emilia has
Wrath's dagger.
We find out that this man this special man with the green suit is Envy. Dun, dun, dun.
Dun. So there's now two Princes of Hell.
She's in this trance in Envy's grasp.
I found Envy's powers really interesting, that she was so lured in and so envious that she wanted to off herself.
Yeah.
To me, that was a new take on it. It wasn't just like you'll do anything to possess that. It's like, if I can't have that, I want to die.
I'm dying. Yeah. And she gets out of that pull because he notices her tattoo. He's like, what?
It gives her a little zappy as well.
Yeah. He's like, what's that, doves? What's that? And they end up having this little conversation, this back and forth, because, you know, she's a big girl now and she could take care of herself in front of these demon princes. And he's like, you've got something I want. And she's like, if it's my still beating heart, I'm afraid I must decline. And he's like, no, but I imagine you'll end up giving that up to my brother one day. And I was like, ooh, what do you mean?
I was loving this banter and this back and forth. And I was like, yes, I want to believe you. I want to believe that you're that confident.
And he also mentions that she's a shadow witch.
Oh, yes.
This is the first mention of the shadow witch, I think.
Yeah.
Also, like, known as the Star Witch. And it's like, well, which one is it? So Envy offers her a spot in his house, which, again, just rocking up sports carnival, wearing your colour. Which one do you want to be? And, like, my sporting names for our teams were so fucking boring.
What were yours?
I went to Mount Gambier High School, and our colours, like our names, were Mount Gambier, and then in Mount Gambier we have a blue lake. Blue lake. Yeah.
Mine were biblical. So we had, I was in Zebulon, which was blue. Benjamin was red, Judah was yellow, and green was Ephraim.
Yeah, ours was also like, ours was religious. We had like Chisholm, Colby, we had Mitchell, we had Faulkner, and we had Lombard. They were all like religious figures.
I was in red.
I just knew that I was in purple.
But yes, for some reason, the different houses just remind me of your houses on sports carnival days. So then he goes, pick a house to align yourself with, or the decision will be made for you. What do you mean?
Wow.
Will this become relevant? We don't know.
Like, why all of a sudden does she need to do this? It wasn't an option before. Is that what Wrath meant when he offered her the blood trade? Was that her meant to be aligning herself with his house? I'm confused.
There's a lot happening.
So Emilia then confides in Claudia, and we get a little bit more information about the possible curse on the wicked, which was placed there by like the first ever witch. And we hear about the Horn of Hades. So moral of the story, all myths and legends give different like point of views on the curse, so no one's like 100% certain. And again, what the fuck? I'm lost. What fucking curse? Why can no one remember any crucial details? And why does no one provide Emilia descriptive fucking answers? They're like talking in riddles.
No one's just like, look, here's the shit.
I just need it for like just one thing. Just one. Like, oh yeah, there was this really like old witch and she basically put a curse on this particular devil and this was the particular outcome of that particular curse. And, you know, but no, everything's just like, but is it? But is it not? But is it?
So we're doing Kingdom of the Wicked this week. Good chance we're doing Kingdom of the Curse next because while Briony was in COVID ISO, she couldn't get Bridge Kingdom in time. So we're doing Kingdom of the Cursed, and then Kingdom of the Feared, which is the final book in the series, is coming out soon. There's a good chance we could do this whole series within a couple months. Maybe we'll have answers.
Maybe we'll have answers.
I cannot tell you how many times Lockie's like, is your book good? I'm like, look, I don't know. I don't know what's happening. I don't know where I am. Apparently we're in Sicily, but there's also the ocean, and I know for a fact that Sicily is not an island. They're drinking sangria, which is Spanish. I'm confused.
Me too. Oh, fuck. Anyway, so Emilia ends up finding a clue. So what she finds is this like gambling chip that was in the floorboard where she found Victoria's diary, and she ends up bringing it to the man that she bought Rath's top off of. He owns a little stall in the market. His name's Salvatore. And it's basically like, oh, I know what that is. That's entry for a special club that everyone's talking about.
And there's a stripper there named Poppy.
Oh, God. Oh, God. And so she's like, I'm going to go to this club, of course, because she's searching for answers, of course. So she goes and she finds out that this is Greed's den. Now we've got Trey, Princess of Hell. And Greed's like...
I don't know why the Trey just got me.
So we meet Greed, and he's described, he was, in a word, bronzed from his from his dark auburn hair to the deep russet of his eyes. He reminded me of copper coins melted and recast in humanoid form.
And I'm imagining him, and I don't know if this is because of any other descriptions we get in this book or the next book, but I imagine him like bronze and purple, like purple clothes.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I've pulled that out of my ass or something else.
It's a contrasting colour, so that's why the Oompa Loompa wears purple.
Oh, wow.
Fucking hell.
This is what Emily said before. Emilia is the hot girl and everyone's trying to get her to join their fraternity. It's true. Greed is like, fuck yeah.
Where's the lie?
Literally. She's basically like, I want you to answer some questions. He's like, I'll answer some of your questions if you give me that amulet and you join House Greed. She's like, no. He's like, all right, out of good faith, I'll answer one of your questions. And of course, she's like, what is the Horn of Hades? Well, we don't find out, but we get a general gist that it's her amulet. It's the amulets. We don't.
It's Cornetto.
It's the Cornetto.
She basically says to Greed, she's like, yeah, well, they say that if, you wear it, then she would have power over the devil. And he's like, no.
Well.
It was actually a gift. And then he's like, you know what? Actually, your sister gave me her amulet. And Billy's like, no, she didn't. And she's just a little sassy queen all throughout this. Like, she's just a little sass queen. We also find out that Victoria's necklace is currently being guarded by Viper.
Basically the basilisk.
What is that? What?
Harry Potter, the giant snake.
Oh, I just saw it as the giant snake.
Or red, Harry Potter.
Oh my God.
I just was like, that's a snake. I
thought I was safe with you guys. You got my sorting hat joke. And now I'm sitting over here.
I had like Harry Potter humour. I read the first book and I was a bit too young and I got scared of Voldemort and then I didn't go back.
Oh dear. So yeah, it's called a Viper Day. It's a snake, basically. No, it's
basically a giant demon snake.
Giant demon snake.
So then Emilia's like, oh, hang on. All of the things that I've done thus far with devils have involved some form of sacrifice. So if I like sacrifice a little bit of my blood, maybe that's what's going to open the diary. Wouldn't you believe it? It works. Not really that much anything useful in it. It's all still just random bits of information. Helpful. Then Emilia's like, right, Nonna, tell me what's up. We learn the Horn of Hades with Victoria and Emily's, well, they are their necklaces, and that they are now star witches, not shadow witches, star
witches.
Different. And they hail from a bloodline of guardian witches who worked with the wicked. But there's this quote, this calm, collected version of my grandmother was completely foreign to me. For as long as I could remember, she worried about the devil and soul-stealing demons. So it's like, okay. So the worst of her fears have now been confirmed. One of her granddaughters has been brutally murdered, but now she's calm?
Why wasn't she calm before and now she's freaking out?
Yeah. Emilia's running around fucking clueless and Nonna's just giving her riddles. Then she's also like, oh yeah, and casually, when you were 8 years old, I gave you and your sister the literal devil horns as necklaces. So,
well, no reasons for that.
No.
Thanks, Nonna. You fucking bitch.
And I never told you what you were carrying.
This is probably karma by this point, but then an invisible person just rocks up and slashes their throat. So...
yeah, true.
And yet she doesn't fucking die.
No. So Emilia's mother, who's not a witch, she doesn't have witchy powers, she manages to stem the bleeding with some herbs.
With some paste.
Just pack it.
The salt mixture. And Emilia's like, I don't know, I'm too frazzled, I'm too rattled, I have nothing left. And it's like, come on, if you want to start talking to hell princes, the least you can do is remember yourselves.
You're this fucking bottle.
Loving it. I feel like I've got a lot of power when I'm holding it.
The invisible person proceeds to slice Nonna's neck, obviously, as we've said, and then steals the necklace, being the Horn of Hades, part 1, and yeets out a window. So Emilia goes, all right, look, I'm a bit frazzled and try to play in the big leagues. I'm going to go talk to my boyfriend. I mean, not my boyfriend again. And she bamboozles him with cannoli. And I would also give over my secrets if I was a prince of hell, if I was offered good cannoli.
Yes.
Me 3.
Then they notice that their matching tattoos are growing. The more time it seems that Wrath is on Earth, we don't know. It's very interesting. We don't get answers.
No.
Emilia decides to basically go and steal from the giant demon snake because she thinks that's a great idea. She's like, I've lost part 1 of the horn. I should grab part 2. Despite the express warnings that you don't fuck with the demon snake, she's like, why not fuck with the demon snake?
Let me test that theory out.
Obviously, it doesn't go well. She tries to put the demon snake to sleep, and then she's having that moment where she's creeping past, and then she notices that the demon snake's breathing has changed, and shit goes to hell, and she gets attacked.
I love that part of a book, the tension where you're like, and then all of a sudden she's like, and then the breathing change, you're like, oh, you're fucked. Run.
I hate to break it to you, you're dead.
You're dead.
I liked it too, but if you compare it to Akamath, so this is very similar with the Weaver storyline. So here you've got the main character who has to steal from the monster without being discovered, then must fight their way out. So in Akamath, that was a whole chapter that there was building tension. There was the action scene when she was escaping and the triumph from when she escaped. In this book, it was 1.5 pages from start to finish of the whole snake demon scene.
She gets bitten by a giant venomous demon snake and starts freezing to death.
Yes, but that was my main negative with the book. Like, that to me had the potential to have as much of an impact as Weaver in Akamath did. And it just really fell flat because we didn't spend long enough drawing it out. So I had no connection to it. And then all of a sudden it was over. Yeah. Like, cut out the shit with Nonna talking in riddles.
And Claudia.
Like, and Domenico, whenever the fuck he comes into it, and there's fucking werewolves now.
Yeah.
Cut all that out and, like, draw on the big things.
Yeah. Anyway, detour, as we always do. Why am I sitting here like an elderly gentleman?
Briony's like perched, and I'm like
perched with their arms crossed, but I'm also in a spinny chair, and I'm finding this very liberating. I'm normally sitting on the edge of my bed, so this is just a whole different scenario.
Well, I'm sitting on the fucking floor. I always sit on the floor.
Oh, so then we have one of my favorite moments of the book, and let me steamroll and take you on this journey with me in my fever dream. So Emilia stumbles and she finds her way to Wrath, and she's nearly dead from the venom. Wrath swears when he sees her, and in her mind she's like, gosh, he doesn't curse. And then he tears her dress off to look at her injuries.
Literal demon, sorry. He's a literal demon.
Literal demon. Oh, but mind you, I love the idea of the guy that's supposedly, or the character that is supposedly evil, but they have like one weird line they won't cross, and it's like, gosh, I don't curse, but I will cut your heart out.
I will literally guzzle your blood.
Rip your spine from your body on a Tuesday, but don't you say the word shit.
But I also, like, I love it when they see something bad happen and they're like, yes.
Oh my God. And then I'm going to break through all the decorum and I'm going to swear. And then I'm going to tear your dress off to look at your injuries. And I'm going to swear again. And then I'm going to hoist you into my arms and I'm going to carry you out of here. As much as I want to be an independent woman and carry yourself out of it, no, get in his arms, we're on a ride. And she's so lulled from the poison and she's dying, so she nestles into his chest and he says, we're almost there. He busts through some doors and tucks her into bed and you're like, where are we? What is happening? And someone else is like, don't be worried, he'll be back soon. And he's like, grant me permission to fix this. Oh, yes. And then he's like, live long enough to hate me for this.
She's naked. He's in the bath with her.
Body to body contact.
your body.
He puts her in a hot bath and they're just together, and then he gets her to drink something and he wipes the tear from her face because she had a single tear, and he's like, I got you. And then to have a soft, gentle kiss. Quote is, soft, gentle lips met mine. Oh, it was a whisper, a promise, an unbreakable vow. It shattered the pain and felt like home. Ripped my soul from my body. I am combusting.
I loved it. I loved it. Yes.
Every shit moment about the book till now doesn't matter.
Honestly, fuck, I do not give a fuck. Give me more of these. But Emilia wakes up. She's like, oh, what the fuck? Where the fuck am I in a bath? And what the fuck is going on? The quote is, a metallic snake into an arm banded around my body, not in possession, but solidarity. Like wrath had followed me into my nightmare, battled death, and dragged me out.
Cut my heart into pieces.
This is last resort.
Oh, roach.
Suffocation. Anyway.
No breathing.
Oh, no.
Sometimes Ellie is just like, what the fuck have I signed
I know
up
the
to?
song. I'm just not singing it.
Like, no, bitches, shut up. And then there's another quote. She goes, I thought his tongue fleeked over my jugular. I remembered the feeling of every nerve ending, every molecule sizzling, instantly attuned to where I wanted those lips to move next.
Yeah.
I'm here for a sexual awakening. Sign me up.
Yes. But also, where the fuck are they? Are they already in the ruined place? Are they in hell? Are they in his house? I have no fucking idea. It's not explained. Okay.
We don't revisit it.
No.
We were here.
No.
I just went bath.
No, I really enjoy also how like she is her internal monologue when she's also come to it and she sees like because Wrath ends up getting out of the bath and he's like
trying to give her a moment.
He's like, I'm
the
going to give you some
naked.
privacy. And the quote is, Wrath stood with his back to me as if offering a bit of privacy. Rivulets dripped off the planes of his tanned upper body, his very toned and naked upper body. Goddess above. He needed to put a shirt on immediately.
While Emilia's trying to pull herself together because Wrath's shirtless, they're debriefing, and she has these moments where she's like, despite his proclamation about not coming for me, he didn't let me die. And I'm like, that's a low standard, but I'll take it. And then they're having their usual banter, and she's like, I was a splinter, slowly burrowing under his immortal skin, and one day I might travel deeply enough to pierce his stone heart.
Foreshadowing!
But also, I love that tension of it's in all of the books we read, let's be real, there's never a 241-year-old woman dating like an 18-year-old man.
I love that.
There's always the immortal, brooding man with the spunky young woman that's just like, I'm here to fuck up your shit.
I love, there's this woman on TikTok and she posted something about seeing out her like Tinder date, and it's like, this is someone's 25-year-old son, and she's like in her 40s and a doctor, and she's like, meh.
Love that.
But anyway, Emilia yeets him out of the house or wherever the fuck they are. But then in the space of 2 pages, she has a change of heart and immediately tries to find wherever the hell it is that she banished him to.
Yeah.
And there is so much internal monologue of her thinking, which just inevitably leaves her making the decision she had already made in the first instance. And it's like, why?
Yep.
Why must we do this?
Yeah.
So Emilia ends up going, and she goes back to where she summoned him initially, and there he is, looking very happy. So we find out a few things in this. Basically, we find out about Umbra demons. They're these things that have been following her around, and it's also the thing that's slit Nonna's throat.
They go invisible.
Yeah. Basically, she lets him out of the circle. They offer a blood oath, and he offers a blood oath to her saying that he won't take souls, but he will save them on his current mission. And they're working together to figure out if Vittoria summoned Pride.
We meet a whole bunch of the 7 princes of hell in this book. Pride is not one of them.
No, he is not.
No.
So then we get on, and Wrath finds Emilia's wrath very enticing. They end up going back to the chamber where Vittoria was killed. Emilia's like, oh, wait a second. You were the one that was licking the blood off their fingers. And he's like, no, I was just testing it. He was like, I was trying to figure out if she had aligned herself with one of the houses of the, the princes of hell. This is where we find out that the shadow witches, star witches,
whatever the fucking witches,
Cornetto witches, whatever the fuck they are, they have more demon blood in them than normal witches. When they're in this little chamber, basically Rath's like, nah, doesn't smell like it could summon any of the princes. Emilia basically goes crazy. She's like, I'm gonna fucking kill whoever the fuck did this. And Rath is like, oh shit. And she just doesn't truly believe that Rath didn't have anything to do with Victoria's death. And so she's like, you know what? I've still got his dagger. So she places it to his back where his heart is. And she's like, tell me why Pride really did send you. Next chapter, we see Mr. Antonio. He wanders into where the fuck are we? The monastery.
They're back in the monastery and he walks in and he's like, oh my God, it is my little crochet babe, but she's with this mysterious man. And now they have matching tattoos. This is very unusual.
Mm-hmm.
And Emilia's like, nothing to see here. Don't look at him. Rath, stop it. And he's trying to shimmy him out.
And Rath's like, my Emilia? That's what he calls my Emilia. And I was like, yes, it is. Sorry, Father Bell, not today. And Antonio ends up leaving them, and Rath is like, because she ends up calling him, I think it's Samael. And he's like, don't call me that again. I'm not an angel. Also, gives her a little warning about Antonio. And he's like, people kill for a lot less than greed or jealousy. And I'm like, ooh, because Antonio was looking a bit like jelly. He was like, who the fuck is this? There's just a lot of lingering looks. Yeah, there's just a lot. There's a lot happening, and I'm like, he says he's staring at, he looks like he's staring at the dagger, but I think he's staring at you with the dagger, if you know what I mean. He's got a knife joke. He likes to That's what I think.
He's like, I have a kink and I'm not afraid to use it.
I ain't. Nope. Basically, Antonio dobs her into her mum. And her mum thinks that she's been rolling around in the hay with Rath.
We wish.
Yeah. And then Emilia's basically like, now that you've said that, I can't stop thinking about it. And the quote is, even picturing him naked, tugging me to his solid, tattooed body, radiating his infuriating heat as he put his stupid mouth on mine, and I gripped him back like he was both my eternal damnation and salvation as we ... Don't
stop there.
I know. And then she goes to visit Antonio and she's like, bro, what the fuck? Why'd you dob me in? And
I agree.
He's very clearly that. He's jealous, very, very clearly.
So then Emilia's angry at Antonio. We're dismissing any other toxic traits he has because we're like, oh no, he's our childhood friend. Where could that go wrong? Emilia basically brings Rath out. They've agreed to work together, so he is no longer contained to his little cave. Instead, he is just strutting around the street shirtless. This goddamn town is not prepared for that type of content. Emilia doesn't think they are either. So they go and they buy him a shirt. The town proceeds to lose their minds while he's changing shirts. It's fantastic. I'm very here for it.
Me too.
We have this other foodie moment where Emilia's mum offering to make a childhood cake for her called casada. It's a sweet sponge cake with sweet ricotta layers.
And she's amazing.
And then literally she goes to meet Rath. Rath sends her a message and he's like, meet me at this rooftop. And so she meets him there and he's sunbaking. And she's like, oh, I thought you combusted in the sun.
But also, I'm going to combust in the sun because you're just sunbaking and I'm just very overwhelmed.
Yes.
Emilia also giving me the angry woman vibes, and Rath is not opposed to this, which makes complete sense if we're thinking about how envy and his powers worked on Emilia. Greed didn't really use his powers on Emilia, but we're figuring it out that when you're around one of the 7 princes and they have a particular affiliation, that when you feel that, it might get exacerbated.
Mm-hmm.
And Rath is definitely a man that looks at an angry woman and goes, well, that's attractive. Emilia threatens him and says, I work in a kitchen and can break down a chicken carcass in under 3 minutes. I imagine doing the same to you wouldn't be that different. And I mean, Emilia's obviously seen that video of Gordon Ramsay cutting up a chicken, so she's fine.
She's fine. That'd be, oh gosh. He's just like, you like what you're looking at, you know? And she's like, no. And he's like, it's nice to know you find me so attractive, but I'm not one of those demons. My eyes aren't red. And if you'd like to find out if my skin is warmer than ice, that can easily be arranged. And I was like, yes.
Arrange it. Please.
Sign me up. Where's my info? Here I am.
Then they have this little banter moment, and I personally quite liked this. So Rath is going to send her some clothes because he knows where she lives. And he goes, I'll find you. And she goes, that's deeply unsettling, right? And it's like, oh, cute. But also, please just fuck him.
Yeah.
Please. But we all want it to happen.
At this stage, he has saved your life. You have given him so many opportunities to kill you.
So many.
So many.
I would have killed you, like at least.
I would. I want to kill you.
Yeah.
The tension builds with some intense hand-holding, which I like. They're in the alleyway. They're getting some information from a person that's been selling Rath's secrets. And Rath goes off, and I am very aroused. He's got this man in a chokehold against a wall. Like, this man is, and he's gone from being like, la, 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 we're having banter, to across the alleyway. This man is up against the wall, and I'm like, I can't breathe. Georgia's like, choke me like you hate me, but you love me. He's got this man against the wall, and he's talking to Emilia while he's got this man. Like, the man against the wall is irrelevant. He's like, his eyes are glowing. And he goes off and he says, I crave power more than money or blood or lust. And there's no greater power than choice. I'd lie for it, steal, cheat, maim, and murder. If I could, I'd sell my soul again for it, witch. I'm like, I love choice. I love it. Give it to me. Put me against the wall. It's fine.
And then Ania, who we haven't we mentioned Ania yet?
We haven't mentioned Ania. Ania was Rath's right-hand man who helped tuck her into bed when she was dying from the giant venomous demon snake.
Yes. And he basically just drops a bombshell. He's like, you know what? I'm just going to throw this in there. Personal feelings about witches aside, finish the marriage bond with Emilia and secure your own house before war comes. You'll need your powers at their fullest. Whoever is organizing this must have killed Pride's wife.
She's like, I'm sorry, can you just backtrack for a second?
Back the fuck
Betrothal?
A betrothal since when? And she's like, absolutely not. Soz bros, I release you from anything. Bye.
Peace out. A down.
Actually, like, is that magically releasing their betrothal besides for this whole time? Are they still betrothed?
No.
But
she's just literally like, I release you, and then she runs away, and I'm like, it's got to be more complicated than that.
Where's the salt?
My babe, there's no salt, there's no blood, there's no bones, there's a lot of factors missing here. Emilia, you're just emotional. Just get a good dicking and you'll be fine.
But again, she chooses to marry Pride at the end. I haven't finished reading book 2, so I know there's more coming. But at this point in time, you're betrothed to another man demon. Fine, we're just going to leave it there.
So Emilia sulks at lunch, and then Rath comes up. I just don't understand how this one little fucking witch has so much control over a prince of hell. Like, it just doesn't make any sense. Like, he just shows up again. It says that the tattoo is a part of their marriage bond, asks her to come and stay at his palace with him until they find the murderer. And she's like, no, not until you answer all my questions. And he's just like, okay, fair enough.
I do love, this is one of my favourite moments in any book. You set up this scenario and I'm down. The two people that are trying to not act like they're all about it, they're having dinner, and basically in this scenario, Emilia is ordering all the food. Rath doesn't know what to order, so he's just letting her take the wheel and take charge, and then he plates up her food first and he's like, I'm a gentleman. And I'm like, you know what? I find that arousing. Give me my food first. Make sure I'm well fed and then well fucked, and we're good.
Make sure I am well fed and well fucked, and we are good. Wrap a little bow on it too.
Look, I kind of feel like maybe he's like, you know what? I'm going to answer all your questions because I know what is creeping up behind you right now. Let's just sit here and talk for a while so you can get closer because I'm an asshole.
And then he's just like, yeah, there's this apodemon. She's like, what? And he's like staring at something behind her shoulder. And that's like one of my worst nightmares is like hearing something creeping near you and like your friend is like over their shoulder and you're like
breathing on the back of her neck. No.
And he's like a hoof on the floor. And then all he says is, whatever you do, witch, don't run. And she's like, bah!
You know what I'm going to do? Run. But
Yeah.
so then Emilia basically gets her steps in and she's running away from this bull. She's basically fallen over herself. She's trying her best. She's not succeeding. For a witch that has all these demons like fawning over her, she's fucking useless.
She's fucking useless.
She gets flustered easily. She can't remember spells.
I want this bitch to be pulling spells out of her hat to be like, ha, you're like a grasshopper now. What are you going to do? Like,
yeah.
But no, it does not happen. And instead, Ras steps in and does a good stabby. And he's like, this was a teachable moment.
He was.
And he calls her a liar again as they go into this new investigation spot. Basically, every time he calls her a liar, I don't know if you guys picked up on it, it's because he knows when people are lying. He legitimately knows.
Oh, no, I didn't pick up on that.
Yeah. Now you've got some context.
Yeah. It makes a bit more sense now, though.
Basically, the moral of the story is Raph goes, obviously you're not safe, you're being targeted, come live with me. And she's like, you know what, that's fair. I can't fight a demon bull and neither can Nonna. So you know what, we're going to move in. It's pretty quick, but oh well. She goes to pack up her shit and realises this is very accurate because someone has trashed their bedroom. Emilia gets sad while she's packing up her things and has this moment where again she becomes this little like vengeance creature crystallized, and she's like, no one else I loved would be taken from me. I'd use the darkest of magic to be certain of it. She then moves into Rath's house, which is the ruins. She storms in and throws her stuff in the bedroom, goes, has a nice like shower, I imagine, and comes out, Rath's on the bed being like, you okay? Do you have a day? And I just love the imagery of him just perching on the bed. It's like this immortal fucking demon being like, you need a vent.
Hi.
And then Emilia says she's preparing for war by napping, which I'm going to use in everyday life from now on.
Literally.
And then wakes up to realise that Rath is left to go and investigate the next witch human for pride on her own, but he left her in a pretty apology dress as a gift. And again, like Kerri describes all the food immaculately, and even though there's some confusion about where we are, the scenery is always spectacular. It's very cinematic. The outfits that she describes also give me life. So we've got this dress, and it was midnight black with gold roots sewn across the bodice, similar to the grimoire page I'd used to summon Wrath. Tiny serpents were also woven into the design.
Interesting.
I like it. It's pretty. I'm into it. She goes to investigate Wrath, but on the way gets distracted by a bonfire.
Oh, what is that thumping noise?
Again, as she's following this magical lull of a bonfire, which is giving me very much Callan Mai vibes,
Yes.
she again hears another random voice speaking to her out of nowhere, saying, as above, so below. I will say, as above, so below is a very big theme of these books. I'm like, okay, I'm going to try and pick up everything you're putting down, but this one seems particularly crucial.
Yeah, something is going on. Something is wrong. Emilia's going a little bit cray-cray. She's taking her shoes off. She's dancing. There's some invisible hands that are grabbing her bum. And what the fuck is going on? She's at a dance party. She's at a rave. And Wrath turns up. She's all for it. She's getting naked. She's like, oh shit, I'm feeling this music. Fuck yeah. And Wrath turns up. He's like, you need to get out of here immediately. And she's like, why? He's like, because you're tearing your clothes off and looking at me like mine are next. And I fucking loved it. So she's like, don't you want to see me naked? And he's like, I have. And she's like, and he's like, if you still want to rip your clothes off when we get home, we can discuss it then. And I'm like, hello?
When we get home.
Yeah, home. All right, Emilia, that's home. Home is where he is. Take off your clothes.
I buy into the smallest of shit, though. It takes very minimal to sign me up at this stage.
I would be all over that man like a terrible, terrible rash.
Yeah. Emilia is under the influence of lust.
Shocker.
The Prince of Lust was golden-skinned, dark-haired, and had a body Michelangelo probably used as inspiration for his sculptures. His voice was unearthly. He wore an unbottomed silver suit jacket without a shirt and matching trousers that hung so low on his hips I could die. A circlet of flames sat on his head. His eyes were charcoal.
Yeah, and as much as I love low-hanging pants, not in a silver suit.
No.
Out of all of the, imagine the difference if this suit was like wine coloured.
Oh.
Exactly.
I can picture Henry Cavill in a silver suit with no top.
I very much imagine Henry Cavill as Wrath in this book. It's the same, like, broad-shouldered, built for fighting, but with, like, that aristocrat type curl.
Yes.
It's the aristocrat curl for me. It kills me every time. Emilia basically breaks free of Lust's influence and then plummets into a void. No one was touching her, and she's very clear, like, she's stressed that someone was touching her, and Wrath is clear that Lust actually doesn't touch you without your consent. You imagine it, essentially. You create this figment in your imagination, and then you are so hyped up and fed all these endorphins and all this energy, and when his influence is removed, you're pulled into this depressive void, and it's basically the worst depression you've been in. Emilia gets a bit depressy, and Wrath essentially looks after her for 2 weeks. Like, he feeds her, tucks her into bed, nurses her, essentially plays games with her. It's very cute. She's like saying, why haven't you given up on me? And he's kind of like, well, why would I? And you're like, why haven't you?
I am like, at this point, fuck, he's beautiful.
2 weeks is all the patience Wrath has. He's like, we got some work to do, honey. Dumps her in a bath, and you're like, oh my God, how rude. Except then you realise he has actually made her like this ceremony from like witch teachings of how to help a moon daughter come back to her goddess, essentially. It's basically some self-care. He's given her an endo to spa voucher and said, go ham.
Ham.
Oh, and then we're having these moments where she's feeling more like herself, and she's eating cannoli again, which again, very relatable. They're playing this board game, and the chapter starts with Wrath saying, there are victors and victims. Decide who you want to be, or the choice will be made for you, which again, a lot of symmetry to the whole choosing your house, or the choice will be made for you. But Emilia's like, dude, we're playing essentially chess. Like, that's a bit much. He goes out for a bit. I don't know. Either way, she's out of gallivanting again and bumps into her friend Claudia, who's gone off the deep end for looking in some fucking magic mirrors. Again, why was the Claudia plotline part of this?
Why? Like, she's like losing her shit, and Antonio's there, and like Claudia's like grabbing Emilia, and she's like, you mustn't linger. He's searching for you. And I'm like, who, bitch?
Who?
What are you fucking talking about? You're spastic. You've lost your meds. Go to bed. Basically, to Steve.
You've lost your meds. Go to bed. I love that.
She would have it on a shirt.
Literally. She encounters a vampire. She finds out that Envy is holding her family hostage. That's pretty much the whole thing.
Yeah, vampire works for Envy. Apparently, Envy likes vampire messengers. I can't even... Words, language, what are they?
And then she gets home. She's obviously like, fuck Envy, and he spills the tea. He is like, Wrath will never be the hero in your story. He's carved from something other. In fact, he might be the biggest liar of us all. If you don't believe me, then ask Wrath about the final soul he has to collect. The one that will grant him freedom from the underworld, regardless of the curse. And then it goes a little bit further on. He's still spilling some tea.
We appreciate a villain that just likes to give you all the information, because no one else in this book is.
Exactly. He's like, once he has collected his final soul, the curse won't matter to him. He will have full power and the ability to walk this realm freely without an anchor. He can either choose to stay in the 7 circles and rule his royal house, or he can roam the earth until end of days. Choice is powerful, and we princes do love our power. And was it just me? But I was like, oh, that's not as bad as what I was expecting it to be. I was like, oh, Emilia, yeah, look, it's really not that bad. Like, he just has to collect. You might be the soul, but really, he said that he's not going to collect anymore. It's fine. You know?
We're talking about one soul, and we're assuming it's Emilia. But again, at no stage does it say, Emilia, it is your soul.
Exactly. No. It's not specified anywhere. There are no terms and conditions, right?
Not that Emilia's taking that. She's just running with it.
She's just like, this motherfucker. And this is where I am like, no, you silly bitch.
Yep. I'm just confused. Just my perpetual state in this book, confused.
Emilia's given a mission from Envy. She's got to give Kim both parts of the Horn of Hades, or her family will die. She takes this opportunity to go and get some information from Wrath. And I mean, I've only been waiting 40 chapters for this. The quote is, "There was a charge steadily building between us, and Wrath seemed poised to let it detonate." She's got him pressed up against a wall. He's doing that thing where he's looking at her and then looking at her mouth and then like, you know, I'm into it.
I love this. And she's just like, no, that's it. I'm going to kiss him. And I was like, cheer here, woohoo, yeah.
40 chapters.
Yes. And mid-kiss, Emilia's like, was Envy lying when he said you need to deliver one more soul to gain your freedom? And I'm like, why are we talking about this?
You couldn't wait till you were post-fuck.
And of course, they are literally a finger leg away from fucking right there on the palace steps, and she's pissed. And I'm pissed at her because just fucking love each other already.
Wrath, to his credit, in his own way, does seem hurt by the accusation.
Mm-hmm.
And he says, very logically, Envy whispers in your ear, and every action I've taken is wiped off of your imaginary tally. Which again, very fucking true.
Honestly, it is. Emilia, get your head out, you fucking asshole.
Seriously, woman.
Just listen to Leonard. He knows what he's talking about.
Literally. And she's like, nah, get the fuck out my face, Wrath. I'm going to go find my amulet. And she fucks off.
And then she goes back to the restaurant / their house and confronts Envy again. You know, she's getting real hectic. He's now got like some more demons there that have got her parents knocked out. And Nonna has been pretending to be like sedentary and just like all solemn, and she's not talking and she's all like little old lady. So they haven't even really been worried about her. And then all of a sudden she's like, blah, 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 and just like starts chunking out some spells. Anyway, she ends up banishing Envy and his devils back to hell momentarily. And it's like, Emilia, why could you have never done that? But it may have been because no one thought to fucking show her how to do it.
Yes.
So she ends up telling Emilia a little bit more information, such as the twins would signal the end of the devil's curse and would be forced to make great sacrifices to keep the gates of hell intact. If they chose to do nothing, hell would reign on earth. The twins are meant to bring balance to both realms, as above, so below.
That's right.
In relation to like that really big curse, like
the curse that's been hinted at against the devil, and you're like, oh, well, that's some interesting information that was probably crucial the entire fucking book, but here we are.
And it's like, okay, would you like to have told these girls, like maybe from the moment that they're born, look, you're really important. We're not sure how. We're going to try and work through this together. We're going to do some workshops. Let's do some brainstorming, some mind mapping.
Look, we've been expecting twins. You guys seem to be the twins. I mean, all signs point to the fact that one of you is probably going to have to die. So heads up. Make your time worth it.
Whoever's the shitter cook. Keep going.
And wow, it really did happen that way too, didn't it?
Yeah, it did.
Literally. We actually have a book where the hero leaving their family is discussed with the family, and Nonna essentially tells Emilia to run and go into hiding, and they will too. And someday they'll find a way to reunite while they figure it out. And I'm kind of like, it's rare for me in these types of books that we read where the family is actually involved. If the parents aren't already dead because you've got to have an orphan, it's just, oh, I'm gone to save my family and one day we will reunite. It's never a heads up, family, there's a reason I'm leaving, it is this. We actually get that in this book, you know? And Nonna seems to be moderately on the page, which is a nice change.
Yeah. Also, just to let you guys know too, Antonio and Claudia also were
there.
They're MIA too. Somewhere with Envy, we don't know where, but they're also bye-byes. They're also prisoners or something. Basically, summary time. She's been marked by Wrath. So they went to this place with...
Oh, yeah, the fennel stalk.
Yeah. She was the fennel stalk. Yeah. So
one of the many things in this book they're just thrown in there, there's some fennel.
Yeah, some fennel. So she goes, she finds the symbol and she's like, I've seen that before. Anyway, so she goes back there and she ends up finding her amulet. And Wrath finds her. And he's like, you're not safe. And he's like, I can basically, I like to, every time someone is transporting anyone out of anywhere, I'm like, they're winnowing. So I'm like, he could basically winnow their asses out of there
Yeah.
But you have to agree to it. And once you give me your permission, it's eternal. So I can just grab you and yeet you the fuck out of anywhere, anytime.
That sounds fun. Let's do it.
I'm like, imagine having sex and just be like, oh, over here. Oh, God, okay. Look, over here.
Can't imagine teleporting.
I mean, I don't see many negatives to this.
No, but she's still like, absolutely not.
This bitch needs to read some more books so she can be more trusting of demons. That's what I can just tell you.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. And so, like, Envy's there. Envy captures Wrath and just splits open his guts. Just
very unfortunate.
From like hip to hip. And then he goes, poof, bye-bye. The quote is, which is actually really sad. So I sat there beside the drying blood of my worst enemy and wept.
But really, is it your worst enemy?
I keep thinking in my head, he's one of his brothers, one of the other princes of hell, has just kidnapped your family. They have orchestrated slitting your nonna's throat, and you still think the guy who saved your fucking life is your worst enemy? Are you a fucking dipshit? Like,
yes, she is. Moral of the story, Emilia then, part of Nonna's teeth, slipping, whatever the fuck, is that when she thought she had felt a tongue on her neck, turns out she had. Wrath had actually given her a little S lick mark, which is very intriguing. And basically that's apparently a way for her to summon him without needing a circle or a spell or anything like that. So she's basically trying to will him back to life after he's been like disemboweled. Doesn't work. If she had listened to when Wrath had disemboweled Lust earlier, she would realise it takes some time for them to recharge down in hell. And he's just literally had his guts pulled out. So it's going to take a hot minute. But no, we try it anyways. She then basically goes goth in vengeance, and I'm here for it. The outfit description, which I'm just going to live for because, I love the outfit. Finished braiding half my hair into a coronet and left the other half down in loose waves. I secured the upper portion with 2 large diamond-encrusted olive branches that, with the exception of the precious stones, matched my new ring. I dabbed my lips with wine-coloured stain and swept kohl across my eyelids. The dress was a deep berry with capped sleeves made entirely from gold scales. And this is also FYI, Wrath has left her a olive branch ring.
Even though he does not need to be extending any olive branches to her. She needs to be extending them to him.
She literally gets dressed up to go confront some fucking fennel stalk arancini bowl stall man who's also a werewolf because they exist. Look, I'm not going to explain it because it's not relevant.
Yeah, the main thing to kind of gather was that it sounds like the Brotherhood is hiding something. That's the general gist that I got.
Yeah, and the Brotherhood are the monks.
Yeah, the monks. The ones that Antonio works.
Yeah, the monks being the witch hunters, being the Brotherhood with Antonio.
She's finally working out all the stones lead back to the monastery. So she's like, all right, I'm going to go back there and see what I can just do in my pretty dress. And she finds Antonio and confronts him, and he's like, surprise, it was me. That's literally how he said it.
Surprise!
Yeah. He's like, yeah, I killed your sister. What of it? And she's like, well, funny you say that because I've been on a vengeance quest for 43 chapters.
I'm not going to kill you, despite the fact that I swore a blood oath to my sister that I would.
Literally. And I've been just trying to kill this man who's been really nice to me this whole time. But I'm not going to kill you because I had a cross on you.
Exactly.
And I mean, as much as I do love a slow, painful death for people that deserve it, I'm also like, in the scheme of this great thing we're coming across, this expanded universe, just kill the human.
Yeah, look, he's got no relevance from here on out. I don't like him. Get rid of him. So, Antonio believes witches are born evil, but she comes through with the whole, you're wrong, we're not born evil. Some of us became that way through hate, caused by you fuckwit.
True.
So Emilia goes full vengeance queen and does a slice and dice, and he's begging for mercy from the sister of the girl he murdered, which I just found very funny. He prays, and the quote is, but God didn't show up. The goddess of death and fury did. And I was like, look, Emilia, you might just pull through on this. You've given me some questionable moments, but this might get me. And we follow that up with Emilia making a blood oath that his death will be slow. Like we've said, she's not just going to yeet him out of existence. No, I swear on my blood, you will never know true happiness again. Your heart will be cursed to be broken each time you forget the sins you've committed. And each time you laugh, I will be there, waiting to remind you. And then she's about to finish it off, and then she notices that Antonio's pissed herself, and that for some reason gives her mercy, and she pulls the plug.
That would just give me the ick and I'd do it even quicker.
Yeah, I'd be like, oh, God, done. I take it back. Quick death. Antonio genuinely believes that he was visited by an angel who's directed him to kill witches. Antonio believes that Emilia is meant to summon the devil and he will kill the devil when he appears, which, lol, love that confidence for you, son. Sorry, it's misplaced. Instead, Emilia summons the devil, and the devil, aka Pride in this scenario, we're assuming, he just possesses Antonio's body and gives Emilia a dress in exchange for her soul. And I'm like, that's a low trade, but okay.
I need more.
Which again, the dress description is the top was a metal corset covered entirely with thorny vines. Layers of black panels gathered at the hips and flowed to the ground in frothy midnight waves. Every other layer had tiny smoky gems sewn into it, reminding me of crushed hematite. I don't even know what that is.
Nope.
Anyways, glittering black snakes twined together in intricate knots at the waist like a belt. And the devil actually just puts her in the dress. He does a swap and she's in. And she's like, well, that wasn't comfortable. I'm not quite okay with that. But that's all right because Wrath appears to seal the deal for the devil. How exciting. I'm like, oh, good, you're alive. And he's wearing a suit befitting his station. And damn, they look hot together. Like, his outfit and then her outfit, and I just love the aesthetic. Mm-hmm. All of a sudden, all of the emotion he is showing throughout this book is gone. He is this cold, cruel demon prince, and you're like, oh no, is this who was he pretending to be everything else throughout the book, or is he pretending now? Emilia assumes he was pretending throughout the whole book.
Of course she fucking does.
Of course she fucking does.
Of course she does. Because why would he not just be playing pretend now?
So she basically signs her name to House Pride. She has chosen the red team. She then has to hand over her cornet. And
the cornets.
Cornets. Or cornettos. It's like a plural of connect. She hands over the cornettos, aka the devil's horns. If she had just said yes to his blood trade at the beginning of this, we wouldn't be here. It'd be done. Always say yes to the hot guy who kisses your neck. Moral of the story.
As long as he licks it, fuck it.
And again, like we said at the beginning,
again, that should be on a shirt. Sorry.
We're having so much merchandise come out of this episode.
If he licks it, fuck it.
Well fed, well fucked. If he licks it, fuck it. Moral of the story, like what we said at the beginning of this episode, Emilia plans to fuck shit up in hell, and the book ends with Wrath taking her hand and teleporting them into hell. I hope the kingdom of the wicked was ready for a vengeful queen. That's how the book ends. Isn't that exciting?
The end. I am more confused.
Honestly, I got no fucking idea at this point.
Ending book 1. She's signed up to House Pride. She has signed her name to House Pride. There's no mention of the betrothal.
No.
We have all this talk about Pride's bride, and we have this demon that possessed Antonio. Is it Pride? I like my confirmation very clear, and there's not a lot in this book that is very clear.
No.
Look, join us next week for book 2, where we hopefully have more answers.
I'm hoping we do. I'm glad we're doing it next, even without my COVID isolation, because now I hope you feel more clarity.
I just need some, I need some clarity in my life, but I'm not going to leave you hanging. I have a Taylor Swift reference for you. It's vague, but it's there. It is, I did something bad. I never trust a narcissist, but they love me. So I play them like a violin and I make it look oh so easy. Because for every lie I tell them, they tell me 3. This is how the world works. Now all he thinks about is me. I pictured this coming from Wrath.
Ooh.
Like, this is how the world works. And now all she thinks about is me.
Intriguing. It did also give me the fact that every fraternity wants her in there, like, signed up. So you got multiple layers there, honey bun.
Oh, definitely. They're burning all the witches, even if you aren't one. They've got their pitchforks and proof, their receipts and reasons. I mean, that's just obvious.
Yeah, you got it.
And that was it. The end. Thank you.
I'll try not to go off on too much of a tangent, even though I have a substantial list of fan
I
art.
literally saw your list. So when you were sending them through to the chat, I was like, I'm not going to use any fan art this week because I think it's going to take too long. Briony's got a fuck done.
And I'm trying to only limit fan art that applies to book 1 because there's a lot out there. Because there's obviously book 2 has been published at this stage, Kingdom of the Cursed, and Kingdom of the Feared will be coming out soon. So the fan art I do want to mention is one of my all-time favorites. I doubt there will be an episode where I don't mention it. Actually, no, I take that back. There was none in Evelyn Hugo. Her name is Morgana Zero Anagram, and she delivers actual scenes of fan art. So it's not just, the main character and the love interest. It's like them in the alleyway. They're looking at each other. We also have Gabriella. It's .BUGDOSO, and she's done the bath scene. She did it for I think it's like a lit joy crate type box scenario it's called Acobath.
Yeah.
We've got Monolime Art, who is an Australian artist who I adore. Her style is really unique. And then we've got obviously one of our faves, which is Gemlin_C.
Gemlin.
She's actually done a good amount for Wrath and Emilia, which I really appreciate. We love the content. There's also, just to spiral through a couple, there is Salt Teas, BX Romance, and Talia.Noble, which all of them give me life. Talia Nobles in particular, her version of Wrath is basically Henry Cavill.
Oh,
so
there it is.
Yep, it's Henry.
Yeah, it's Henry.
Oh, fuck me up, son. I actually really like the BX Romance too. That's beautiful.
Yeah, we love some fan art. It's one of the perks of fantasy books. We get to live vicariously through the amazing artists out there. Normally, from here on out, what we would be doing is we would be pulling the book from the fishbowl about what we're doing next. But alas, I'm in ISO, and the fishbowl is not with me in ISO. So
but it kind of works out because we're choosing to do Kingdom of the Cursed
next
week. Yeah, we'll get onto Bridge Kingdom the following week, and then next week we will be around the fishbowl, hopefully, and we'll be able to pick another book out.
Definitely. And if you guys have any more book recommendations, feel free to send them through. We will add them to the fishbowl.
Yes, we
will. If you have any fan art you like, send it through. I love
post it because we love fan art. Honestly, it's all I want to fucking look at for the rest of my life.
If you want to see the nonsense we get up to, please follow us on Instagram or TikTok.
Yes. Anyways, yes, we'll see you next week. We'll be covering Kingdom of the Cursed, and that's it. We'll catch you later.
Bye.
Bye.